Hello there, folks. And today in the movie cave, we are talking spooky movie Halloween. We're talking about the Halloween franchise. Old Michael Myers himself, the slasher hacker slasher. There's a lot of movies in this franchise, so we'll kind of get started. You ready? Okay, let's get to it. The original Halloween, directed by John Carpenter, I think was his name. John Carpenter, yeah. It had a very young Jamie Lee Curtis. She plays Laurie Strode. I don't know if you can hear me, so we'll just do. We'll do this for now. Jamie Lee Curtis plays Laurie Strode, the original last girl, as they say, which means she, survives the terrible events, obviously, spoiler alert, but this was the first kind of movie of its kind that brought into the slasher genre of horror, meaning that there's a lot of people killed with slashing, obviously, but yeah, it takes place during Halloween, hence the name. And old Mike Myers is this twisty, psychotic individual that escapes the nut house. And a little backstory on him is shown in this movie. He was a child, and he was obviously a few screws loose even from a young age, because in the movie he offs his sister on Halloween night and gets put into the state's nut house, whatever you want to call it, sanitarium. Fast forward several years later, Mike escapes and trouble ensues. He is known as the babysitter killings, I should say, because he kind of wanders around the neighborhood killing these young teens, just babysitting folks and such. So, Jamie Lee Curtis is a babysitter that's watching these two kids during Halloween night, and she has to kind of put up a fight and defend herself and fight off the madman, Mike Myers. And spoiler alert if you hadn't seen it, spoiler, she survives. She survives the events, and we're supposed to be led to believe that Mike is dead. Dr. Loomis, which was his psychiatrist, played by Donald Pleasance, puts a couple rounds of .44 mag in old Mike, and it'd stop any normal individual, but obviously he ain't normal, so he falls off the balcony. Spoiler alert. Lands in the yard. We see him there. Think, okay, he's dead. They take old Jamie Lee off to the hospital. She gets all seen to and come out to the yard. Dr. Loomis does, and he is gone. Mike is out of there. He has somehow miraculously survived several shots of .44 Magnum to the chest. But yeah, so a little on the unrealistic side of things is that, Mike cannot be killed, obviously, and there's a big theories and debates going on as to why that is. You kind of choose to come up with your own. That's the interesting thing with Halloween, is you can kind of come up with your own theories of why he's unkillable. Stupid mask got my nose itching. But yeah, sequel to that movie, Halloween 2, Deuce. We kind of catch right back up where the first one ended. I'm talking about minutes, literally after the first one, which was cool. Continuation wise, Jamie Lee's in the hospital, or Laurie Strode, her character, and Mike is a little ticked off, and he's going around killing folks in the neighborhood again. He's trying to get himself to this hospital and finish off our final girl, Laurie Strode. There's a lot of deaths, a lot of killing in this movie. He does his thing with his butcher knife or whatever he can get a hold of, and does his Michael Myers boogeyman type thing. This movie predominantly takes place in the hospital setting, so it's kind of got that creepy, dark hospital vibe. There's a few jump scares scattered out here and there. Doesn't hold up as well as the first one. What movie does? But it is a solid sequel and a good scare movie to watch. Like I said, it's what's good about it is it's a continuation right after the events of the first one. So you pretty much kind of got to watch the first one to kind of know what's going on. You can't really just jump right into Halloween 2. And but yeah, it's a good movie. And spoiler alert, spoiler. Our final girl survives this one too, Laurie Strode. Jamie Lee makes it out to the credits again. I think she winds up in an ambulance or something like that. I don't know. But this girl's been through hell. I'm talking hell. This poor girl has been chased all over Haddonfield. That's the name of the town. All over Haddonfield by this psychotic mask-wearing fool. And he just won't leave Laurie alone. Leave old Laurie Strode alone, mate. Go find somebody else to bother. But yeah, leave her alone. So Halloween 3, moving right along with the series, is more or less, I don't even think Mike shows up in this one. It's been a while since I've seen it. It's more or less, I forget, some other, I don't even think skip it. Halloween 3 is no good. It's just not good. It's not a true sequel to the series, and skip that one. Fast forward a couple years, we get a few sequels throughout the 90s. There's one where Jamie Lee returns back to it. It's fairly decent. And then there's some in the early 2000s. Halloween 20 or something, Halloween 20 or something like that, I forget. But none of them's really memorable. They have the scare factor here and there, a few jump scares, but so yeah, the franchise kind of fell flat for a very long time, and then it got picked up as a reboot. I mean, they started all over from the original, rebooted it back, and I think Rob Zombie directed. Yeah, he directed the Halloween reboot and its sequel. Those are a little more, I don't know, they're a little more graphic, more gory, more Rob Zombie-ish, if there is such, I just made that word up, but it's Rob Zombie-ish. They're okay, they're a little too intense for me, but to each his own. Now, moving to 2018, we have what is known as a legacy sequel, which means it's a sequel set in modern times with new characters, same villain, and we have legacy cast members such as Laurie Strode back. But here's why I like this movie. It's a revamped to modern times. Mike is back. He's as scary as usual. He is a little on, more or less more on the unrealistic side of things. He's, he can hold a dude up by one hand, so he's a little more stronger for some reason, considering that this man should be in his 70s by all accounts. But I digress. But here's what I like about it. Jamie Lee Curtis is back. And is she back with a vengeance, man? She has waited for umpteen years. That's right, I just made up another word, umpteen years to get her revenge and finally put Mike in the ground for good. She has spent years prepping. She is the definition of prepper. Her whole house is pretty much a prison cage built to trap old Mike. She has trained herself with rifles, pistols, and knives. She is one bad mama. And speaking of which, they do address the fact that she had a kid, and there's that whole family dynamic. She is a mama. She's a grandmother, which is, the daughter, Laurie Strode's daughter is played by, I think her name's Judy Greer. Her daughter, which is the granddaughter, I don't even know her name. She's just an up-and-coming young actress. But these is our trio of final girls in that bracket. the three have to kind of put their family differences aside, and there is a big family dynamic there because Laurie's daughter was taken away from her because Laurie was raising her to be this survivalist and sort of, not a really good environment for the kiddos. But so yeah, they're trying to have to kind of put aside all these family problems because guess what? Mike breaks loose again. He's being transported from one nut house to another, I guess, and he gets out and he's ready to do his thing. It just happens to be Halloween night again. How coincidental is that they're moving him on Halloween night? Could we not just move the transfer to another night besides Halloween? Anyway, I digress again. But the movie's good because it has its scary moments as usual. Mike has, the creep factor back. There's some jump scares. And believe it or not, it kind of works as an action movie too. With the whole Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis's character being a bad-ended, out for revenge type situation. So yeah, it works. I'll keep it brief because, we're running on a lot of time here, but Halloween Kills came out last year, 2021, I think it was. It came out. It was good. Continuation like they did in the first movies, the first Halloweens. It continues right after the events of the last one. So picking right up where we left off, go through this, that, and all kinds of situations. And it's a good movie. It holds up. It's a good sequel. And I believe you can catch both of those on Peacock, and you can catch them on Amazon, Vudu, the works, the whole franchise on most of those platforms. And here's the interesting thing. Coming in October, Halloween spooky season, is Halloween Ends. It's supposed to be the capping of the franchise, if you will. Jamie Lee Curtis is back, the granddaughter's back, and so we'll see if old Mike gets what's coming to him this time and they can actually put him down in the ground for good. I wouldn't hold my breath. Like I said, this dude's pretty unkillable. And yeah, Mike's coming back this year. And I believe that movie will be on Peacock the same day it comes out in theaters. So you can stream it when it comes out, and you can go watch it in theaters. I will be catching it myself because I've watched all the rest of them, and this is my opinion. Opinions are like butts. Some people have them, and they stink.